Hello and welcome to helpyourmath.com. In this video, we're going to look at surveys. So what is a survey? We use a survey, or surveys, to represent sets of people. In this section, the cardinal number of the set plays into an important role. We might remember that the cardinal number of a set is the number of elements in that set. Okay, so just looking at an example of how we relate what we're used to with sets and with the elements to how we use the cardinal numbers. So we have our universal set, which includes all those people. We have set A, set B, and set C. And we're going to set up a Venn diagram using only the number of elements, or in this case people, that are in each region. So before I do that, I'm just going to do the normal, what we would have done in the past. So in the past, what we would do is we would set up our sets, and I would need 3 sets for set A, set B, and set C. And then I have my universe. And so then what we would do is we would want to fill in the sets appropriately. When we start with this, we always want to start with the triple overlap. So who is in all 3 sets? Set A, set B, and set C. I see Al is in all 3 sets. And we're going to use just a lowercase letter a to represent Al. And Ben is not Cal. How about Deb? No. Okay, so Al is the only person that's in the triple overlap. So that's what that region is. It kind of looks like a triangle with curvy sides. Next, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to fill in the people that are in only sets A and B. So for example, this is the region that represents people who are in set A and B, but not in set C, right? Because this whole region here represents the people that are in A and B. That would be the intersection of A and B. But this section at the bottom where A is, that also has some overlap with C. So that's why we put the A there, but anybody who's only in A and B but not also in C will go in the region above. So do we have anybody who's in A and B? Ben. So Ben is going to go up here. And Cal is going to go up here. And that's it. Those are the only 2 people who are in sets A and B, but they're not also in set C. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for A and C. So that's going to be the region on the left. So we're going to look at A and C, which is going to be this region here. This is not just A and C. This is specifically people who are in A and C, but also not in B. And that distinction is very important, in the way that it's phrased when we get the information about the surveys will also be really important. So I'm going to emphasize that a lot as we go through this. Okay, so who's in A and C but not B? It looks like Deb. So we're going to put a D here for Deb and Fred. So we'll put D and F. Okay, that brings us over to the last of the overlapping regions. That's the region here. I'm not going to go back to highlighter. I'm just going to do this. So these are people who are in sets B and C, but not in set A, if there are any. It looks like Ivy and Jan. Ivy and Jan. So I'm going to say I and J. And now anyone who's left, whoops, I think Ben was included already. Anyone who's left can go in their respective regions. So we have Eve left in set A. We have Hal left in set B. And there's nobody left in set C, so we'd be done with set C. Now, is everyone accounted for? I see Al, Ben, Cal, Deb, Eve, Fred, Gil. Do we have Gil yet? No Gil. So Gil is going to go out here. Gil wasn't in any of the 3 given sets, A, B, or C. Hal, Ivy, and Jan. Okay, so that's it. So that's what it would look like. That's our normal Venn diagram. That's the one that we know and love. When we use cardinal numbers, so what we know here is that the cardinal number of set A, that's the number of people in set A, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the number of people in set B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the cardinal number of set C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the way we use those, we're going to set up our universe again in our 3 circles, is we just write the number of people in each of the regions. So rather than writing A in the triple overlap, we put a 1. There's 1 person in the triple overlap. Up above it, the intersection of B, A, and B, but not including who's also in C, we would put a 2 because there's 2 people in this region. A and C, there's also 2 people in this region. And B and C, there's 2 people in that region. Very consistent here. And then in set A, there's 1 additional person, and set B, there's 1 additional person. And in the universe, there's one additional person. So that's how we would set that up. And then you can see in set A, there's 4 regions. And those 4 regions, if we add up those numbers, those should add up to 6. So let's see, 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 2 is 5, plus 1 is 6. So that adds up to 6. So that's where we see the 6 is in the 4 regions. The 4 regions need to add up to 6. We should also see the 4 regions in B add up to 6, and the 4 regions in C should add up to 6. And then if we really want to be careful or double check everything, the universe has 10 people in it, so everything should add up to 10. So 1 here plus 1 is 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's how we use the cardinal numbers. Notice that I don't actually see 6 or 5 anywhere, but they're a sum. We find them in the sum. So that's how we set up these surveys, and I know it can be really tricky. That's why I hope this example helped, because I know in the past I have not done this, and I have students who get very, very confused, so I'm hoping that this will help. All right, so just some things about surveys, just to reiterate. When we start filling in the Venn diagrams, we always want to start with the overlapping region, or regions, right? If there's 3 sets, we're going to have 4 overlapping regions. We want to start with the most restrictive, so that's anyone who's in all 3, or the number of elements in all 3 sets. The language matters. Trying to get there. There we go. If a sentence says some number of people like both A and B, then this includes people who like okay. I had to read that first. Then this includes people who like A and B and not C, but it also includes people in that triple overlap who like A and B and C. This value, the triple overlap, must be subtracted from this number, and that number gets placed in that region that doesn't include the triple overlap. Right, so what I'm talking about here is if it says the number of people who like A and B, that's talking about all of this. So that's including anyone who might be down here in the triple overlap. So this number, whatever we see here, might not appear in the Venn diagram because it gets split up between the 2 regions. If the sentence says some number of people like A and B only, the only indicates that they also do not like C. You do not need to subtract out the triple overlap. It has already been subtracted out for you. This is also true if it just says the number of people who like A. That's the cardinal number of set A, and that includes all the regions in set A, whether it's 4 or 2 regions. And then all of the regions, including any floating in the universe and not in any other set, should add up to the total number in the universe. Okay, so let's look at some examples. A group of students is asked if they like certain Grammy winners, and here's the results. And by certain, I mean just 2. We're only looking at 2 people here. We want to set this up using a Venn diagram. Now, this is a group of students. It doesn't tell us how many are in the universe. And we have 1 set for Taylor Swift fans and 1 set for Bruno Mars fans. So we only need 2 sets, and we'll call this one T for Taylor and B for Bruno. And then we have our universe. Okay, we're going to actually go from the bottom to the top. So it says 4 like neither artist. Those 4 go in the universe, but not in any of the regions within the circles. 12 like both Taylor Swift and Bruno Mars, so this is our overlap, and this will go in that overlapping region, so we're going to put 12 right here. Now what it tells us is it says 34 like Bruno Mars, but look right here, we already have 12 of the 34. The cardinal number of set B is 34. So if we already have 12, how many are left? What's going to go in this region here? This is going to be 34 minus 12, which is 22. So we would put 22, I'm going to cross that out because you should not put that in the region. I was just trying to show where 22 comes from. So now if we look in set B, there are 34 people within set B. And then we have to do the same thing with Taylor Swift. 28 people said they liked Taylor Swift. We already have 12 of them right here. So that means that there are 16 who like Taylor but didn't like Bruno. And there's all sorts of questions that we can ask regarding this survey. So 1, how many people were surveyed total? This is a Venn diagram with 2 sets, so we add up the 4 regions. That includes people who said neither, people who only like Taylor, people who like both Taylor and Bruno, and people who only like Bruno. And if we add these up, this is 20, 30, 40, 54. We see 54 people were surveyed total. How many people like only Bruno Mars? So we could say the difference of Bruno and Taylor, or they like Bruno and they do not like Taylor, or they did not respond positively to Taylor. That would be this region here, and that would be 22. Okay, in another example, a group of football players are surveyed on the sports they watch in the Summer Olympics, and these are the results. So here are the results. I always encourage you, pause the video, try to set up your Venn diagram, and then if you want, if you're feeling so inclined, answer those questions. Okay, so hopefully you pause the video. In this case, we have 3 different things. We have swimming, gymnastics, and badminton, so I need 3 sets. Those who like swimming, those who like gymnastics, and those who like badminton. And then we have our universe, which we're going to say you. And again, I suggest start from the bottom to the top. So 9 said nobody, none of the sports. So we'll put 9 somewhere in the universe, but not in any of my sets. So this one's done. I'm going to put a check mark. 2 said they watched all 3 sports. So we need to find that triple overlap right here, right? So that 2 is part of the swimming set, the gymnastics set, and the badminton set. So those are counted for. Now let's watch the language here. 6 watch badminton and gymnastics, but not swimming. So those 6 are not including the 2 who watch all 3 sports because it says that they don't watch swimming. So we're going to find badminton and gymnastics, and we're going to put 6 where they overlap. Okay, 3 watch swimming and badminton, but not gymnastics. So again, we don't have to worry about the triple overlap because it tells us that they do not watch gymnastics. So swimming and badminton overlap here. And 5 watch swimming and gymnastics, but not badminton. That will go here. Okay, now it says 15 watch badminton. So that's the cardinal number of this set here. So all 4 regions should add up to 15. So we need to figure out how many people only watch badminton. So we're going to say 15 equals 3 plus 2 plus 6 plus, we'll say B for only badminton. Well, that's going to add up to 11. So it's 15 equals 11 plus B. You can subtract 11 from both sides. Turns out there's going to be 4 right here, right? So then when we add up the 4 regions, it adds back up to 15. 29 watch gymnastics. So we need to do the same thing. So 29 is equal to 5 plus 2 plus 6 plus G. This is 13. 29 is 13 plus G. So that means that G is 16. And again, what this means if we 16, I don't know how to add. 6. If we add 6 plus 6, no, I was right the first time, 16. Okay, I've made up my mind, it's 16. When we add these up, this should add up to 29. 16 plus 6 is 22, plus 2 is 24, plus 5 is 29. Okay, that settles it. And last but not least, 18 watch swimming. So again, the cardinal number for the swimming set is 18. That means, I'm running out of room here, that 18 is equal to 5 plus 3 plus 2 plus, I don't want to use an S, so we'll use a W for swimming. That would be 18 equals 10 plus W, which means W is equal to 8. So if we added up the 4 regions in swimming, it should add back up to 18. Now we can answer these questions. How many football players watched only gymnastics? So we already answered that. That's going to be this right here, and that's going to be 16. How many football players watched exactly 2 sports? So exactly 2 sports means it's actually given to us in the information, but we're going to use the Venn diagram here. Exactly 2 sports means they watched more than 1, but not all 3. So that's going to be this region here, and this region here, and this region here. So we want to add those 3 numbers up together because those are the 3 regions that represent exactly 2 sports. That would be 3 plus 5 plus 6, and 3 plus 5 plus 6 is 14. How many football players were surveyed? So we need to add up all of the regions. So we are going to add up 9 plus 8 plus 5 plus 16, I'm running out of space, plus 3, plus 3, plus 2, plus 6, plus 4. That should be 8 regions, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so I didn't miss any. That's 17, 22, 32, 38, 41, 43, 53. So it looks like 53 people or football players were surveyed. This has been an introduction to surveys. Thank you for stopping by.